Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. And as a lot of you know, on Sundays, I take a break from looking at the political climate that we're all living in. And I like to invite onto my show people whom I think you would benefit from meeting. And so I've had tons of people, and now I have my friend Christiana Gaudet, known in the social media space, we'll call it, in the tarot world as the see, I did it again, tarot fairy godmother. Oh, she's got her magic wand and everything. I will have all of her links in the show notes, so please go there for that. And yeah, I will say Christiana has for years run a tarot conference out of
Mhm.
Florida. I have attended. I've been a speaker at the conference, and it's wonderful. Uh, and this is where I've met a lot of people, or where we tend to sort of convene and see each other again. And, the tarot reading community is a community, the magical community. And one of the things that I love that Christiana has done is she has created an experience online so that you feel like you're at the conference because you are at the conference, just, from the comfort of your own home. So I wanted to have her on to talk about what it's called StarCon, what StarCon has been, and also where it's going, and what people can look forward to moving forward. So welcome, Christiana, to In the Company of Cards Sunday Conversation Edition.
Yay, I'm so happy to be here, Erica. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so happy to talk about StarCon with you because whether or not you know it, you have been incredibly influential in helping me create the community and the conference that I wanted it to be. And you've done that by offering appropriate criticism when necessary. You've done that by being a fabulous presenter. You've done that just by holding down the energy you do. So I'm very happy to have this conversation with you.
Well, thank you. And I will say, we are all a collegial bunch. And when my book came out a couple of years ago, Christiana, and I didn't have a YouTube channel because you all know this is kind of a new thing. It's only about a year and a half old. But Christiana does have a presence, and she had me on with her. And I really appreciated you helping me promo that. So thank you.
Sure, sure. And in fact, a lot of our regulars on YouTube have been asking for your return. So we
Oh,
would love to have
nice.
you come back on and do some readings in
Okay,
the
sounds
future.
good. Absolutely. So tell us about StarCon. Start from the beginning because I think
Oh,
it's an
thank you.
interesting story.
Yeah, it is an interesting story. So, and really the story probably starts back in like 1999 when I got invited to speak at a tarot conference, which was the American Tarot Association
Mhm.
conference. And I got invited to speak there. I had never been around other readers that I hadn't trained, right?
Let's see.
And so being in the company, like you call your show In the Company of the Cards, I love that title.
Mhm.
And being in the company of card readers for the very first time was amazing to me.
Mhm.
And so it was then that I was like, oh, it would be fun to host one of these, right? So over time, I've gone to
Ambitious.
other, right, of course. Over time, I've gone to other conferences. And every time I've brought up the concept to myself or to my business partner, who is also my life partner, John, it's always been like, yeah, no, bad idea, bad idea.
Mhm.
And so then in like 20, I think it was like 2018, Jenna Matlin and I did a day long, like add a day to the conference thing
Mhm.
at Newt's
Okay.
out in Portland. And I saw how well that was run. And I was like, we've got something here. There is something, and there needs to be something where I am in Florida.
Hmm.
Now, at that point where I was in Florida was just a fabulous destination.
Yeah, of course.
Perhaps it is less of a fabulous destination now. That's a whole other conversation, but
Hopefully
taking
not
us back
forever.
then,
Yeah, right.
right, exactly, exactly. So we got together, we made a plan, we gathered the local tarot community. And this is the thing about Florida is we have so many readers, authors, artists, all here in Florida. So I sort of gathered them and I was like, what are we going to do? And we came up with our name, which
Hmm.
is StarCon, which stands for Southeastern Tarot Artists and Readers. And
Perfect.
we had to keep the double A in there because there is another StarCon with only one A. So we're
Oh,
StarCon with two A's. So the first conference we planned to just be a normal tarot conference. 2 days, an intensive on Friday beforehand. And that's what it is, and that's what it's going to be. We planned it for January 2021. And every single time I pulled a tarot card about this conference, I got the tower.
oh,
And like most tarot readers, I looked at that. I said exactly what you said. Ooh, and I kept going. And then COVID came and I understood what the tower was
yeah.
about. So the first meeting, our first conference, we did all online. And we got a great online platform, Excelivance,
Hmm.
and we did a really robust, really successful online tarot conference at a time when no one was leaving their homes anyway. And it worked out great. So then we said, okay, for 2022, we'll be hybrid. We'll still use Excelivance, but we will meet in the hotel as planned. And then came that new strain. It was Omicron, I think, was that new
Oh,
strain.
okay.
And so we did meet in person and we were online, but the tech was challenging. And a lot of people who were going to be in person ended up being online because they were concerned about the virus. It was still phenomenally a success. It
Hmm.
really was.
Hmm.
So then 23, 24, and you joined us in 24 with
Right.
Nancy. We had moved to a new hotel. We got the tech a little more ironed out, and it ran quite well. Moved to a new hotel last year, and I would say StarCon 5. At that point, we dropped calling it the year. Like we were StarCon 1 in
Right.
2021. Like it
Right.
worked really nicely. We did not call the StarCon in 2025, we did not call it StarCon 2025. We called it StarCon 5 because we had an inkling that we would need a moment to reorg. And so StarCon 5 was the best StarCon ever. It was fabulous. We had so much fun. And the afterglow of StarCon 5 is still continuing. So, what's the afterglow? The great thing about being a hybrid conference is that we have a year after the conference on Excelivance to do new presentations and to watch the recordings of the presentation from the conference. So, we are now this robust community meeting together
Year
all year
round.
long.
Hmm.
Yeah, that continues till January 2026. So
Hmm.
this coming January. Literally January 26, 2026 is the last day of the afterglow. So, in talking to everyone and looking at what's happening in the world, we've realized a few things. The people who love in person conferences and the people who really take advantage of the online presence, that Venn diagram is not a circle. In
Mm.
fact, it's a really like the overlap in that Venn diagram is quite small.
Mm.
And so we've learned that. And the problem is our ticket prices have been based on paying for two venues, the
Hmm.
hotel and the online venue. So it's an expensive ticket at a time when, I don't know, Erica, the economy has not been great recently.
Yeah, I wonder
Don't,
why. Yeah.
yeah, don't know if you have any clues on why that
Yeah.
might be, but
Yeah.
there it is. So we were tasked by the community to continue to be accessible, but not so expensive.
Right.
So We are in the process. In fact, we're going into beta testing like within the next couple of weeks. We
Hmm.
are in the process of launching our own bespoke conferencing platform.
That's great.
And yeah, this will have some features that Accelerants does not have.
Hmm.
It will allow for some profit sharing for presenters.
Hmm.
It will allow for people to come in and buy individual sessions, which is
Hmm.
not something we've been able to offer in the past. So it's going to offer a lot of flexibility.
Good.
And that should be available for people to join. We're hoping toward the end of January. So picking up right where the Afterglow left off.
So this is people anywhere in the world can access
Yes.
this platform and pick and choose the things that they. So, I'm sure people want to know, well, like what exactly what like. So in other words,
Like what?
I mean, is this meant for people who have a certain level of expertise
Mm,
with the cards, or can beginners join in, or
mhm.
what is the.
Sure. So we started as a tarot conference. At this point, we are very broadly a conference about divination, spirituality, art, personal growth, um, and whatever else you might fit into that bucket.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we have presentations on astrology, Lenormand, mediumship,
Hmm.
at StarCon 5, we did so much creative stuff. We did soul collage. We did all kinds of stuff. Maria led us in making, I forget the name of it, but these little magical statues out of clay, like just so much creativity. And
Hmm.
so, are beginners welcome? Absolutely.
Hmm.
And is there programming for beginners? 100%. But wherever you are in your journey, like there's a lot there.
So I will say, a lot of my viewers, and I have a beautiful, kind, warm, huge community.
Huge. I
Um,
know how huge your community is.
yeah, and a lot
Fabulous.
of them, they come because I do readings on politics and culture and race and
Hmm.
all that. But they tend to come not as tarot people or Lenormand people for sure. They're not. But they want to know what the cards have to say. And one of the
Sure.
things that I've really tried to do with my platform, one of my intentions with my channel was sure to tell people what was going on in the world, but also to make them divination curious, to show
Mm,
them that, okay, I do this work and I've, done it for a lot of years, as have you, but that it's accessible to all of us. It is the birthright of every human being because every human being has a human soul. It is our birthright to be connected to spirit. And all of
mm,
these different tools and techniques just give us translation opportunities, right? For
mm,
how to translate the language of spirit into the language of human beings, kind of thing.
mm,
So people have gotten curious, and people have realized, oh, wait a minute. Um, she's going to talk about such and such an issue. Let me pull cards and see what I get. So they've got a deck of
mm,
Lenormand cards, either mine or somebody else's, and they pull cards. And then I say what I say in my cards, and their cards may be the same as mine or very different, but with the same message. And so people
mm,
are really, in this community tapping into um, their own clarity about the fact
mm,
that this can be for them too. And so I think a conference is a wonderful opportunity to sort of try your hand, also to see what else is out there. I mean,
mm.
there are tons of different forms of divination. So, I know that your what you're putting together and what you actually have already done is sort of a real hands-on way for people to dabble and then also do deep dives if they're at that level. So I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And I think, the other thing there, when you're able to get to a conference, either in person or online, the sense of community,
Hmm.
it is. I mean, okay, there is no perfect community. There will always be some people in the community that we got to look side eye at. But by and large, it is a welcoming community. And I would say this, broadly about divination in general. We are not gatekeepers for the most part. We want people to learn. We want people to study, and we want people to come to their own voice and ability. As you say, we have this natural birthright, every single one of us, and we want to share it. I think by and large, most of us do. And that makes it such a loving and kind and fun and funny experience so
Mhm,
often.
mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us what the new plan is moving forward, when and how
Mm-hmm.
and all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Sure. So now we're calling the new platform that we're building StarCast, STAARCAST, which is a name we're repurposing because we used to do a podcast called StarCast, which you've actually been on, Erica.
Right, right.
Um, so we're taking that name and rebranding it. So once we get that launched, we will be announcing the date and place of an in person conference. Now, here's an experiment we did at StarCon 5, and it worked really well. For the years we'd been doing this, we were convinced that we had to offer online as much of a replica of the in person experience as we possibly could. And we finally admitted that that was a fool's errand,
Hmm.
no pun intended,
Right, right.
that it's different. It's different online, it's different in person. And one of the most frustrating things about the online experience during the conference is, as we all know, when you're live streaming, sometimes it's hard to hold a connection
Right.
and tech issues happen. And so, what we did for StarCon 5 is we actually had a room that was unwired. We had a room that we were not broadcasting from. As a joke, we called it the quiet and calm room,
Mm,
but
mhm.
there were things that happened in there that were neither quiet nor calm.
Right.
But it was a room with absolutely no tech. And in there, we had seances, we did art, we made music, we did all kinds of fabulous things. And so we recognized that as much as the community appreciates technology and appreciates sharing, they also appreciate just being able to be in a space with no other eyes on them
Right.
and doing the work. And so we want to honor that at our next conference.
So there's
Um,
something for everybody. If my viewers are all over the globe. But
mhm,
if you are in Florida, or if you it's a destination, I mean, okay, there are issues with Florida, but
there
it
are.
is a destination. So,
Mhm, mhm,
it's beautiful. So if you want that in-person experience, you can do that as well, and it will not be
mhm.
replicating the online experience.
Yeah, not as much as it has been.
Right.
We're still figuring out, will we have one room we're live streaming from? Will we ask presenters to do an online version of what they've done? Like there's a lot of options. And it
Yeah,
will
I
probably
think
be what
that's
each
really
person wants.
I think that's interesting, because I know I presented for you both live,
Mhm.
and I did also present for you virtually.
Yeah,
And
you were in the first one, weren't you? You
yeah,
were in 2021 and 2024.
yeah, and I think it's smart to realize that there are different requirements of a speaker if they're doing something
Mhm,
online versus when they're doing it in person.
mhm,
So I think that's
mhm,
that's good. I think it'll make the experience for the listener, the viewer, the attendee that much richer, and make it way easier on the presenter. So for example, and this is maybe a little in the weeds, but a lot of people love to know, how can I get into this work? I want to do this work. So, one of the things about being a virtual presenter is that you have to, oh no, in person, when you're in person, and you have to stay in one place. You can't walk around, you can't move. Why? Because it's being broadcast simultaneously. So you don't want to get out of camera range. But if you're doing a presentation just for the in-person people, you do get to walk around. and
Mm-hmm.
sort of
Mm-hmm.
interact more with the audience. And if you know you're doing a virtual thing, well, then, you know, you're doing a virtual thing. I think that's very good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did, I will say for StarCon 5, we did put cameras in the back of the room because all presenters want to walk around.
Walk
We all
around. Yeah.
do. And so we did end up putting cameras in the back
That's
of the
good.
room. We learned and
Yeah.
put cameras in the back so that as soon as someone left the podium, the new camera would catch them.
That's great. That's great.
We're always learning and growing.
Exactly. 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 So can
The
you tell
other
us?
piece of
Oh,
it,
go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, no,
No.
go ahead. Well, I was just going to say the other piece of it as an organizer is we hauled a lot of equipment.
Mhm.
Another thing that made StarCon expensive is we had a storage unit and a truck with TVs and mixing boards and all the things that my husband and I would carry with a
Mhm.
few volunteers.
Yeah.
And we're excited to pare down on that
Sure.
piece of it
Absolutely.
too. I'm sorry, I
Absolutely.
interrupted you. What were you
Well,
going to
I
ask?
just wanted you to talk more about what other things you do, because I know you are eminently accessible for readings and all kinds of things. So, can you talk about your presence
Yes,
on?
absolutely. So I have been a full-time reader for like 30 years. Like that's real. And when I say full-time, I do readings pretty much every day of the week, every day of the year. If you want a reading on Christmas, we can probably make that happen. Why do I work so much? Because it's like breathing for me.
Yeah, you love it.
And I mean, it is my full-time job. But beyond that, I try to make myself available when people need me.
Hmm.
So I am a full-time reader, and that's what I do. I do readings in my office in Stuart, Florida. I do readings at parties, and of course, I do readings by Zoom, FaceTime, all that good stuff. I only speak English. Although someone came in with the meta glasses, she
Oh,
didn't have
yeah.
good English. She came into my
And
office
they
with the meta
translate it.
glasses.
Hmm.
It was brilliant. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So I'm really looking at technology to open me up to beyond the English speaking world. So that is what I do first and foremost.
Hmm.
I do have a YouTube channel, not as many people on it as you do, but hey, I'm hoping one day. But I do, I've been multi streaming.
Hmm.
So when I go live now, most of the time I am live on YouTube, horizontal and vertical,
Hmm.
Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, all at the
Hmm.
same time. It's a
Hmm.
zoo, but
Now,
it's
is
a
this,
lot of fun.
and what do you do on that channel?
Sure. 4 times a week, I'm doing readings, and it's
For people
themed
who
by
are
day
watching. This is
for
for
all
people,
the people who are watching. Yeah.
right? So this is like personal readings for people,
Yes.
right?
Yes. We go through the list, and most of the time, I don't leave until I've answered everyone's question.
Yeah,
So,
no,
like on
I'm
Monday,
telling you all, she is, I'm doing that on the 18th. Yeah, Thursday. I'm going to do an hour at 1 o'clock and another hour at 5 o'clock, just answering
nice.
people's questions. And I do this very seldom, but I mean, Christiana does it all the time. So if you want your
4 times a week.
personal questions answered
Hmm.
4 times a week,
Hmm.
she's there. Yeah. And we'll have
Yes,
the link.
absolutely. Different themes each time. Like Mondays, we do a card for the week ahead. Fridays, we wrap up the week.
Hmm.
Saturday is the psychic sampler, where
Hmm.
you can ask anything you want. The juicier, the better.
Hmm.
Sundays is the newsletter recap. So that's another thing I do for years now. I put out a weekly newsletter every Wednesday into your inbox, different topic each week. It's called the Tarot Topics Newsletter.
I get that.
And so, whatever the topic is, we do readings on that topic.
Hmm.
So, we'll do that Sunday mornings. Now, so we do that. And then I also, in the evenings, do classes and interviews. And of course, you've been on as an interview, but I do tarot classes, divination classes, that kind of thing as well.
Hmm.
So, I really try to share both tarot information and tarot readings on the live stream. And we call it the village, right? We are a
Hmm.
village.
Hmm.
And we sort of think of YouTube as like the town hall,
Hmm. Hmm.
and like, maybe Twitch is the local pub,
Hmm.
and maybe Facebook is, I hate to say it, the old folks home. Um, but we're broadcasting to all these places at once.
Right.
And that's a lot of fun. So I do that locally. My office is in Stuart, Florida. I do a monthly class at Mandel Public Library in downtown West Palm Beach, which I love. I do a monthly class in my office in Stuart. I call it Third Tuesday Tarot.
Hmm.
And I run a monthly meetup, and we meet at Panera Bread,
Yeah.
of all places. But it's a thing, man. Every month we get between like 10 and 20 people,
Hmm.
and we just take over a room at Panera. They don't seem to mind. They
Right.
haven't kicked us out yet. And we're there for 2 hours. We call it Cards and Conversation. And it is so popular that we're doing a meeting in March where people are actually flying in to attend because they want to see how we do it. They want to see,
Wow.
how do you do an effective ongoing, like this particular tarot meetup has been meeting since 2016.
Wow. It's a long
When
time.
I got to the area, we moved to this area in 2016 because my in-laws needed help. That's why everyone is in Florida. Sorry, but it's true.
Right. Right.
Um, so that's why we're here. Um, and started the meetup right away. Now, I had been in Lutz, Florida earlier and did a meetup there also in Panera. So it's a thing, right? So I do that. I've written 2 books, Tarot Tour Guide and Fortune Stellar, available on Kindle, Amazon, Ingram Spark, wherever. Working on the 3rd book right now. Um, so I think that's the list of all the things I'm doing right
You
now.
are busy. You are
I
busy.
am busy. I am busy. Yeah. And, I had a conversation with someone in our community, and they were talking about how they're stepping back from readings because it's time to pass the torch. And I honor that for them. But Erica, you can have my torch when you pry it out of my cold, dead hands.
No, I know you live and breathe. I get it. I get it. And and that's that old chestnut about if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. And yes, Ciro Marchetti, who I know we
Yeah,
both
I know
know,
Chiro. By the
referred
way,
to me.
Ciro Marchetti, for those of you in my audience who don't know, probably a lot of you don't, is a beautiful artist,
Hmm.
Florida based. And the very first time I encountered Lenormand, I was in a car with 2 of my friends, and one of them was passing a deck of cards, a box, to the my friend in the back, and I grabbed it. I said, "What is this?" She goes, "Oh, I don't know. I just thought it was pretty." And I looked at it. It was Ciro Marchetti's Gilded Reverie uh, Lenormand. And I said, "Can I have this?" And she said, "Sure." And I took that, and that was my very first deck. And it's just beautiful. It's really evocative, it's romantic. And in some ways, when I was putting together my own deck, I hoped that I would have that sort of, well, how can I put this? Uh, the Gilded Reverie is romantic, but it's also serious. And so
Hmm.
that's what I wanted for my deck. I wanted it to
Hmm.
be romantic and serious. And so Ciro Marchetti is sort of my my lodestone for of deck creators. Yeah, and I know him very well. We've been friends for a long time.
I cannot believe. So wait a minute. Let me just, my head is like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's smoke coming out of my head right now. Um, my mind is blown. Are you saying your first connection to Lenormand was Chiro's deck?
Ciro's deck. Yeah,
Wow,
Ciro's
what a
deck.
full
And
circle moment. Wow.
yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's just beautiful. So, I mean, my deck is beautiful too, you all. But if
Yes, it
you,
is.
you
Yes,
know,
it is.
Ciro's Gilded Reverie, you can still get it. I'm gonna give you a platform in a second, Christiana, because I just said to people you can get it. But I don't know if you're all aware that there is a big, AI, of course, is a thing. And one of the things in the card world, those of us who make decks or will use decks, read, is the fact that there's huge piracy issues,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
AI type issues. And so you might say to yourself, well, who cares? A deck is a deck, and if I can get it cheaper, then I should. But then the artist doesn't get paid. The artist is
Right.
unrecognized for their work. And ultimately,
Right.
that's an energetic, gross thing. So
It's
if
gross.
you want to read with a deck that's energetically gross because
Mm-hmm.
it's essentially stolen
Mm-hmm.
intellectual property, go ahead. But I would advise you for your best
Mm-hmm.
divination experience that you not do that.
That
So
you not do that.
yeah,
Yeah. And like I remember back in the 90s, everyone was having purse parties where they would get someone's to sell knockoff
yeah,
purses, right? And you'd go and you'd buy your knockoff purses. This is essentially the same thing. But if you were buying a knockoff purse, we can argue back and forth the ethics of that. But if you were buying that, we can imagine that Vera Wang wasn't probably shedding any tears, you
right,
know?
right.
When we buy a pirated deck, a Ciro Marchetti deck, or your deck, for
Mhm,
example,
right,
we know the artists. The artists are our friends. This is stealing from our friends.
right.
And that's heavy to me. Like I do not want to steal. I don't want to steal from anyone,
So
but
you
I
can,
certainly don't want to
you
steal
have
from
to
my
be
friends.
you have to be careful because as you can imagine, pirates, that's what they're called, pirates. So that's a pirated deck. That's what that term's all about because it's essentially stolen. Um, they can actually be quite hard to tell whether they are pirated or not. So, for example, I bought a deck a few months ago from Amazon and thought that it was fine. And then I returned it because I realized that it was pirated, that it was fake.
Mm-hmm,
So you'll see
mm-hmm,
things like the color won't be as vibrant,
mm-hmm,
or things will
mm-hmm,
be misspelled, or the
mm-hmm,
quality of the paper of the card is not as good.
mm-hmm,
So your best bet is to get the work directly from the artist and their website.
mm-hmm,
That's one good way to
mm-hmm.
do it.
Or the
Um,
publisher.
or the publisher. So my publisher, for example, is La Panthère. And if you go there, and I have a link to that in my show notes
Mm-hmm,
always. So
mm-hmm.
then you're safe. But just to go to Amazon, which of course is the easy go-to, um,
Yeah, don't do
it's
it.
like
Do
what
not
it's
buy
like.
tarot decks from
It's like
Amazon.
it's like the big joke about Temu, where Temu they've got products that are really really low cost, and then you get them. Like let's say you decide you want to have a Temu tea set because you're going to pour tea for your friends, and then you get it, and it's like doll sized. So
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
because it's a ripoff kind of a thing. So it's
Right,
just
right.
beware as a consumer, caveat emptor,
Mm-hmm,
as they
mm-hmm.
say in Latin, um,
Yep.
because it does, the money from this work should go to the people who put in the work, and that would be the artist.
100%. Yes. So, and in fact, our friend Shiro is like a huge, it hurts his heart to
Yeah,
see that his decks have been pirated, and
yeah.
we understand that. And I will tell you, when I first landed in Florida, I was writing for a now defunct tarot magazine. And my task, I did a monthly column that was called Sneak Peek. I had to interview artists who were working on a deck that was going to be published. And that's how I got to meet Chiro. I reached out to him and he's like, well, why don't you come to my house? I was going to interview him on the phone.
Hmm.
Why don't you come to my house?
Yeah,
All
he's a nice
righty
guy.
then. And yeah, he really is. Being in his house is like being in one of his cards. Like it is
Mhm.
just amazing. And we've been friends ever since. But
Mhm.
yes, he officially called me the hardest working woman in tarot.
Yeah, you're a hard worker.
And I plan to keep that title for as long as I can. Yes.
Well, that sounds
Yeah.
good. And I'm going to put all of your information, like I said, in the show notes. So hopefully you'll be even busier after this.
I would love that. I would love that. Absolutely.
That's great.
Um, and I will say, since having you on our YouTube, and back then it was just YouTube, I was not multi-streaming then. It has really piqued a lot of curiosity because our group is mostly tarot.
Hmm.
And it's really piqued a lot of curiosity for them about Lenormand.
Hmm.
And believe it or not, and I will credit you for this. I have a booked Lenormand reading tomorrow that I will be performing.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, so you're kind of my mentor in that, I think. You didn't know
Very
that,
good.
but you are.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
great. I
yeah.
think the thing to remember, I read tarot as well. The thing to remember is just that they are two different languages. One
Right.
is imagistic and metaphorical, and the other is a word language. And you read it just like you would read a sentence or read a paragraph.
Hmm.
That would be Lenormand. So, yeah, I mean, and it's great to be fluent in more than one language, right?
There it
Um,
is. Yeah.
including languages of divination. I had do you know Tina Hart, I think.
I
I had
do.
her on recently because she has a book out and it's on charm casting. So charms are another form of divination that you might be
Hmm.
interested in. You know, I wear cowrie shells in my hair, and it's so funny if they're like back, people are like, "Where are your shells? Where are you?" So cowrie shells, which in Africa were used among other things for money, so they have
Hmm.
value and they remind me that I have value. But they are also used as tools of divination. So you have cowrie shells in your hand and you toss them, or you put them in a cup and you toss them, and the way that they fall uh, can be a divination
Hmm.
instrument. So the world is wide and there's a lot out there. And Christiana, I'm so glad that you bring to the table what you do because it's so much and it's so rich and it's so valuable. And I will have everything in the notes so that people can contact you. And we look
Fabulous.
forward to hearing more about about how everything unfolds with, what is it?
Well,
StarCast?
StarCast will be the
StarCast.
online platform is StarCast.
Hmm.
The next conference will be StarCon 6.
Hmm.
And we will be announcing date and place for StarCon 6 within the next couple of months. We'll be announcing it.
Okay.
It might be toward the second half of 2026, or it might be in 2027.
Hmm.
That's the other thing. Okay, to be fair, StarCon has traditionally been in January.
Right.
We start the year, and that has been wonderful. But in the midst of running this conference, my grandchildren were born. I think you met my grandkids.
Yes. Yes.
And so Christmas time and the whole holiday time, these kids like holidays.
Sure.
And, because we were running a conference in January, we really were just blowing through the holidays, not thinking about it because we're old. Who cares?
Right. Right. But now
But
you've
all
got the
of a sudden,
right.
all of a
Exactly.
sudden, we have to do the things with the kids.
Right.
So getting off of January is something we're looking at doing as well
That's
for this reason.
interesting. And weather-wise, while it's infinitely warmer in January in South Florida than it is many other places in the country,
Mhm.
does the weather get even better, I don't know, later in the year or early in the year? Are you thinking about that at all?
We are, we are. And the funny thing is, like, we worry about hurricanes,
Hmm.
so there's
Hmm.
a period of time that we might not want to run because of hurricane season. But for StarCon 5, we had two presenters coming from
Hmm.
the New Orleans area,
Yeah.
who were not able to attend because of weather.
Yeah.
They had a bad snowstorm. So even though it doesn't snow so much in Florida, certainly not in South Florida, we were still affected by snow in
Hmm.
January.
Hmm. Hmm.
So figuring out where and when in terms of weather, in
Yeah.
terms of ease of travel, in terms of affordability.
Because I know people, I mean, your conference was an international affair. People did come
Yes.
from other countries
Oh, yes.
to attend that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And so, what's going to be easiest for them?
Right.
Where is it easiest to fly into?
Right.
And West Palm was never easy for them. They fly into Miami and come on up.
Hmm.
So, I'm keeping all of that in mind as we
Right.
think about where we're going to place ourselves next.
All right. Well, we will keep our audience posted on all of that. Is there
Perfect.
anything I
Perfect.
didn't ask you about that you'd like to mention?
That's such a fun question, and I absolutely love that. Choo 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 choo. Not that I can really think of. I feel pretty comprehensive here. I'm just so happy to have this time to speak with you and to meet your audience and really to invite your audience to check out StarCast as it becomes online
Mhm.
and go from there.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Christiana. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on with me today.
Oh, thank you, Erica. It's so great to see you and thanks for the opportunity.
Sure. So, you guys, I will see everybody tomorrow. I have told you that it is the holidays. I get that. But apparently, the news does not stop. So, I will come on the way I normally do on Monday, and we'll be back at it. So, take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.